In this lesson, we're going to be taking a look at the Edit Vertices rollout. Let's go and get started. I'm going to come over here and select Box.
All right.
And drag a box out. You probably never saw that coming, did you?
Nope.
All right, now let's go and switch over here to the Modify tab, right-click, and convert this to an editable poly. All right. To get to the Edit Vertices rollout, you must be in Vertex Subobject mode, and there it is, Edit Vertices. And there's all sorts of powerful tools in here that we can use. But before we start going over them, what I want to do first is switch over into Polygon Selection, or Subobject mode, and select this guy right here. I'm going to come all the way down, and I'm going to tessellate it, just to give myself a little bit of extra detail to work with.
Right.
So edge, that's good. So I'll go ahead and click OK. And let's flip on over to the bottom. Let's grab this one down here, and I'll just do a repeat last, and that'll work. So let's go ahead and now switch back over into Vertex Subobject mode. You can already see the vertices. Let's hit G to get rid of the grid, and F4 to turn on edged faces.
All right.
All right. So now this is going to work a little bit easier for demonstrating some of these tools.
Okay.
First thing I want to do is take a look at the Remove button. Check this out. I can select this vertex right here and simply remove it. But the question is, what is going to happen with all of the surrounding polygons? Right now we've got 4 different polygons that are connected to this one point.
Well, I'm thinking it's going to be kind of like collapsing them all down into a single polygon.
You got it. Let's take a look. Hit remove. We've got one polygon. Now, of course, none of the other vertices were taken out, so these guys are still sitting out here on these other edges. But if I come over here into Polygon Subobject Selection and grab this guy, well, let's go ahead and say ignore back facing. Grab this guy, it selects one polygon.
Right, very cool.
Okay, so let's go ahead and switch back over to Vertex Subobject. And next thing I want to look at, well, actually, let's just undo. And undo, undo, undo. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and leave these two crossing edges here because it's going to work in our advantage here in a second. Like right now.
Right now.
Let's go ahead and break it. What break is going to do is going to be just like doing splitting that we talked about earlier when we were working with the Edit Geometry rollout. Basically, every place where we have an edge coming in, it's going to get its own vertex and it's going to terminate right there. So we'll actually separate these 4 polygons from one another. So we're going to end up with 4 new vertices. And take a look. So I've got this one vertex selected. You can see that right here. It says Vertex 13 selected. So that's just one. Come over here and I'll hit break. Now let's go ahead and come in here and select. Let's go ahead and grab our move tool, and I'm just going to take these guys and let's see, we'll push him back a little bit. Grab this guy. I'll push him back. I'm just going to kind of create a star-like shape because I'm going to use this to help demonstrate some of the other things that we're going to be doing. And we'll grab this guy as well. Let's go ahead and move him back.
Very nice. I like that.
So we'll come back to this in just a minute because I'm going to use it for welding and some other stuff. I just wanted to show you how breaking up a single vertex is going to split all of those polygons apart like that.
Right.
All right, so the next thing we're going to take a look at is going to be extrude. When extruding vertices, it's actually very cool. Most people simply extrude polygons. They don't realize that they can extrude other subobject types. Extruding vertices gives you quite a bit of power. Let me show you why. If I select this vertex right here, I'm going to go ahead and open up the settings dialog for extrude vertices. And you'll see that by extruding, I get 2 things. I get the actual extrusion itself, okay, so an extrusion height, and I get an extrusion base. Okay, so the base itself acts as a chamfer, and we'll be talking more about the chamfer in just a minute. And the height is that vertex that actually has got extruded out. So what I want to do is go ahead and increase the size of my base right there.
Oh, wow.
And then you can see here's the height. Okay, and I can go positively with it, or I could go negatively with it if I want to.
That's slick.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. So let's go ahead and just kind of push that on up in there and maybe open up our base a little bit more. And, of course, we can do this on the corners as well. You know, let's go ahead and say OK to commit that. I can grab this guy right here and come over here do the same thing. Extrude, and look at that. Same thing's applied right there. So let us go ahead and apply and cancel on this one right here. And let's see what happens if we come in here and grab, and grab. So we grab all of these guys, come back up here, do a vertex extrusion again, go ahead and OK, and now we're starting to create somewhat of an interesting shape.
That is very cool.
Okay, so now let's go ahead and go back to the top. Let's talk about the next thing, weld. Welding is really good when we want to take vertices and weld them together. So let's say we want to put all of these guys back together into a single vertex, basically, you know, weld them back together.
Right.
So I'll just come over here and Control Select, and Control Select, and Select. Okay. And here's how it works. I'm going to come over here and open up my settings box for weld vertices, and there's a threshold. We also get some information down here, number of vertices. Before, there's 37, and after. Well, there's still 37 because right now our threshold is not high enough.
So that's not just the vertices you have selected. That's the total number of vertices in the object.
That's correct. So as I start to up this, watch what happens. Here it comes.
Oh.
All right, we just met the threshold between these two, so they snap together. They're within that threshold.
Right.
As we continue to go up, look at that, snapping more, and finally the whole thing. So
Very
we've
cool.
got 37 before, 34 afterward.
Well, that's awesome. It actually shows you what, which vertices you lost when they were welded together.
Yep. If you think about it, we had 4 vertices selected. We just lost 3.
Right.
Leaving us with 34 because we still have 1 selected.
There you go.
All right, so we can go ahead now and let's see, what else do we want to do? We can go ahead and click OK. You see, obviously, we've got 1 vertex left if I do that. So I'll go ahead and click OK to show it. Vertex 18 is selected. But I want to go ahead and undo that operation because target weld, I think you may find that to be very, very cool. Let's go ahead and select one of these guys, target weld. And what I can do with target weld basically is just come over here. Actually, yeah, I did that wrong real quick. It's just a matter of first selecting, after you select target weld, select the vertex that you want to target, and then weld it to, you select the target.
Right.
So in other words, I select this guy, I want to target this guy, select this guy, and I want to target this guy.
That's awesome.
Okay. So yeah, target weld is really, really cool. Now, let's see, what are we left with? Chamfer. Chamfer is very cool. What chamfer will allow us to do, let's go ahead and come in here, select this, and just kind of center it up a little bit. Okay, something about that. Chamfer will, it's like break in a way, where we're going to get, each of these edges are going to get their own vertex.
All right.
And then there's going to be a polygon, so it's almost like it split it. And then there's going to be a polygon connected in between, and as we continue to up the chamfer amount, that polygon is scaled up.
Very cool. Let's see it.
So, let's just show it. I'm going to go ahead and just activate chamfer, come over here, click, and drag it up. And this is what I was talking about. Each edge gets their own vertex. Okay?
All right.
And there's a polygon in the middle, and as I continue to go up with the chamfer amount, it's just like scaling that polygon up.
Right.
So does this make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. That's awesome.
Okay, very cool. So that's chamfering. We could even do some nifty things with it if we wanted to. Come around to the bottom. Let's go ahead and grab the vertex up underneath here. Come back over here to chamfer. This time I'm going to open up the settings dialog, and then from in here, look at this. I can go ahead and...
Oh, wow. You
set some.
flatten out that point in there.
Exactly. So it's almost now like I've done a little bit of an extrusion myself. So I'll go ahead and tell that okay. And let's see, what does that leave us with? Leaves us with connect. See, what's some good areas to connect. You know, before I connect, I just want to see what this is starting to look like if we were to come down here and turn this on. I just couldn't resist. Isn't that kind of cool?
That is very cool.
I don't know. I couldn't help it. Sorry. All right, we'll turn this off. Back on track. All right, going back up here. Just couldn't help. Okay, so
the mesh smooth is very cool, though.
Get back up to edit vertices. All right, so connect. Any idea what connect does?
Well, it should
good enough. So takes 2. I'm just playing.
Thank you. That's awesome. I appreciate that.
Go ahead.
We should be creating a new edge in between 2 vertices on a surface.
You got it. So I can select 2 vertices, tell it connect, and that's exactly what it just
awesome.
did. Okay, very cool. All right, remove isolated vertices. What this will allow us to do is let's go in here and see if we can create some isolated vertices. Go over here into polygon selection, and let's come in here and select some of these guys and delete that out. And let's delete this guy right here. And now we're going to be left with an isolated vertex right here. Now, since 3ds Max realizes that I'm about to have an isolated vertex, it tells me that, or an isolated vertex in this case, it says delete isolated vertices, yes or no. I'm going to tell it no just to help demonstrate my point. Swing around to the other side, delete. We've got another one in there, no. You don't see them at the moment, but let's go ahead and switch back over to vertex mode.
Oh, wow.
And there are the 2 isolated vertices. 1, 2. They're not involved in any edge at all. They're just floating out.
Right.
There. So I can clean things up by simply coming down here to remove isolated vertices. Click, and they've been removed.
Awesome.
Okay. Now, of course, I'm going to come up here, and let's go all the way back to the first undelete, or the delete polygon that we did. Okay, good. And let's see. Remove unused map vertices. This deals when you're working with the Unwrap UVW editor and any modeling operations that kind of leave any vertices hanging out there that are seen inside the Unwrap UVW editor, and this allows you to clean up those isolated vertices. Okay. That's really all I want to say about it at the moment until we get into dealing with texturing a little bit
Right, because that really doesn't have anything to do with modeling.
Exactly. Okay, finally, last thing I want to show you is going to be weight. This means I now get the privilege of coming back down here again.
All right.
Turning NURBS back on. Let's go ahead. We'll up the iterations. Actually, that's a little too high. Let's do it about right there. And what weight will allow me to do is I can come in here and select any vertex. So let's go ahead and scroll back up. And by increasing the weight, what it's going to do is it's going to take my smooth result geometry and start pulling it towards that guy. Okay? So I can actually, so it's just weighting it. I'm just giving it a little bit of a strength. I can come over here, grab this guy, do the same thing, start pulling over to him as well. So it's a very cool.
That is very powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. So come in here, perhaps give a little bit of weight to this one. And you can see, though, I'm having to borrow from other areas of the geometry to accommodate it. So just don't forget that. Let's go ahead and grab this guy, and let's just give him some weight as well. Now you'll notice that the top is not nearly as rounded as it was earlier. Now it's really flat.
That's awesome.
Very close to being flat. So that's it. That covers everything I wanted to talk about in the Edit Vertices rollout.
All right.
Thanks a lot, guys.